next to the passage itself. Again, we've been doing this. We're going to continue to do this. When I introduced annotation to you, the purpose of it was to learn how to follow instructions in order to eventually become critical readers, analyze the passages more thoroughly, so forth and so on. So your quiz on annotation previously was simply following the instruction. Soon you'll have a quiz on identifying the main idea correctly or accurately, being able to define words correctly, accurately. Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. All right, so get out your two different colored highlighters, set them to the side. Have a blue or black ink pen or your pencil. And let's take a look first at the steps. All right, and again, guys, I need you following along with me. If you find that I'm going a little too fast, please simply raise your hand or Miss Walker me, as I may not see your hand because I'll be looking up and down. And do what I do with regard to the first paragraph and the rest of the components. Okay, here we go. The first step is to read the title and or questions. Then you'll make a prediction regarding what the passage may be about. You will write your prediction to the right of the title. You'll state your first impression based on the title and or questions. I want you to use the prompt below. I think this story, poem, etc. is about, and then make your prediction. And remember, it's not going to look like this. Which word are you going to use here? Anybody?
Story.
What?
Story.
I didn't hear it.
Story.
Say again?
Story.
I love y'all. All right, so this is a story. It is fiction. It's not a poem, so we're going to use story. All right, so let's do that. Now, there are not any questions that follow, so just keep in mind we're only looking at the title. So the title is Those Three Wishes. I have the title of the passage as well as the author listed next to it. I don't have a whole lot of information, and since I have no questions, I don't have any more information than simply the title. So the only inference or educated guess I can make here is that it's possibly going to be about someone making three wishes. So go ahead and next to it, write, I think this story is about someone making three wishes. That's my prediction. Okay, next step. We're to draw a line to block each paragraph or stanza all the way across the page from the left side to the right side. So under mattered, left to right, draw your line. Under Melinda Alice Grader, draw your line. Remember, all the way from left to right. Under thought, left to right. Under that was making, left to right. Under I'll give you three wishes, left to right. And finally, one directly under the last paragraph of this page. Now, what did we determine together that is a good idea to use or implement with regard to step 2? Catherine?
To number them.
Very good. So let's go ahead and start numbering them. Makes it easier to refer back to the text. All right, so the first one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, finally 6. 6 paragraphs on the first page. Flip it. And let's continue. Left to right, because we have a gap here. Under girl. Left to right under own taste. Left to right under my life. Left to right under seat. And finally, after the last piece of dialogue. And what do we want to do next?
Number them.
Number them. So we're starting with which number?
7.
Good. 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So much better than yesterday's, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's flip back to the beginning, and let's refer to our sheet. Step 3. It wants us to simply skim the passage and highlight any unknown or unfamiliar words. So I'm going to demonstrate for you, and I'm going to ask you to do the same on your paper. Simply that skill in the first paragraph. So again, you just simply take your pen or pencil and skim over the text, looking for unfamiliar terms. Oh, I don't know what malice is. So I'm going to take the colored highlighter that I want to select for vocab and highlight the word malice. And for purposes of demonstrating this process to our visitors, we're only going to select one vocab term. So what do we, I don't need to ask you. The next thing, we have skimmed it, identified it by highlighting it. So now back to our list. Number 4 states, write the unfamiliar words to the left of each paragraph, stanza, etc. So, to the left of the first paragraph, write the word malice. Please leave enough room to write a definition. And back to the steps. 5th step, read the entire passage. Okay? So at this point, let's begin doing so. Please follow along as I read. No one ever said that Melinda Alice was nice. That wasn't the word used. No, she was clever, even witty. She was called, never to her face, however, Melinda Malice. Melinda Alice was clever and cruel. Her mother, when she thought about it at all, hoped Melinda would grow out of it. To her father, Melinda's very good grades mattered. It was Melinda Alice, back in the 8th grade, who had labeled the shy, myopic new girl contamination, and was the first to pretend that anything or anyone touched by the new girl had to be cleaned, inoculated, or avoided. High school had merely given Melinda Alice greater scope for her talents. The surprising thing about Melinda Alice was her power. No one trusted her, but no one avoided her either. She was always included, always in the middle. If you had seen her, pretty and witty, in the center of a group of students walking past your house, you'd have thought, there goes a natural leader. Melinda Alice had left for school early. She wanted to study alone in a quiet spot she had because there was going to be a big math test, and Melinda Alice was not prepared. That A mattered. So Melinda Alice walked to school alone, planning her studies. She didn't usually notice nature much, so she nearly stepped on a beautiful snail that was making its way across the sidewalk. Ugh, yucky thing, thought Melinda Alice, then stopped. Not wanting to step on the snail accidentally was one thing, but now she lifted her shoe to crush it. Please don't, said the snail. Why not, retorted Melinda Alice. I'll give you 3 wishes, replied the snail evenly. Agreed, said Melinda Alice. My first wish is that my next, she paused a split second, my next 1,000 wishes come true. She smiled triumphantly and opened her bag to take out a small notebook and pencil to keep track. Melinda Alice was sure she heard the snail say, "What a clever girl," as it made it to the safety of an ivy bed beside the sidewalk. During the rest of her walk to school, Melinda was occupied with wonderful ideas. She would have beautiful clothes. Wish number 2, that I will always be perfectly dressed. And she was just that. True, her new outfit was not a lot different from the one she had worn leaving the house, but that only meant Melinda Alice liked her own taste. After thinking a while, she wrote, wish number 3. I wish for pierced ears and small gold earrings. Her father had not allowed Melinda to have pierced ears, but now she had them anyway. She felt her new earrings and shook her beautiful hair in delight. I can have anything, stereos, tapes, TV, video disc, moped, car, anything. All my life, she hugged her books to herself in delight. By the time she reached school, Melinda was almost an altruist. She could wish for peace. Then she wondered, is the snail that powerful? She felt her ears, looked at her perfect blouse, skirt, jacket, and shoes. I could make ugly people beautiful. Cure cripples. She stopped. The wave of altruism had washed past. I could pay people back who deserve it. Melinda Alice looked at the school, at all the kids. She had an enormous sense of power. They all have to do what I want now. She walked down the crowded halls to her locker. Melinda Alice could be sweet. She could be witty. She could, the bell rang for homeroom. Melinda Alice stashed her books, slammed the locker shut, and just made it to her seat. Hey, Melinda Alice, whispered Fred. You know that big math test next period? Oh no, grimaced Melinda Alice. Her thoughts raced. That darn snail made me late, and I forgot to study. I'll blow it, she groaned aloud. I wish I were dead. All right, so back to the very first paragraph and back to our steps. We did 5, read the entire passage. Now, number 6, define the unfamiliar words using a dictionary. So, that was one thing I did not list in your materials. If you'll reach under your desk, take out your dictionaries. Those of you who have cell phones, you may go ahead, take them out and turn them on. Remember, do not do anything with regard to your cell phones that you are not instructed to. We are piloting our BYOD policy, or use of. All right, so the first word that I wrote was malice. So I'm going to look up malice. You guys will get a chance to do so in just a moment. Okay, malice is defined as, and you will write it as well, the desire to cause injury or distress to another. That surely applies to Melinda Alice here. So I understand completely why she's referred to as such. So again, malice is defined as the desire to cause injury or distress to another. Again, finish copying that. All right, back to your annotation sheets, and I haven't instructed. Did I instruct you to turn on your cell phones? Don't turn them on just yet. All right, place or look at your steps for annotating. We did number 6. Now let's look at number 7. Read each paragraph stanza again while highlighting the main idea of each. You need to ask yourself, who is the excerpt or paragraph about? What is going on with regard to the passage paragraph? Where is it taking place? When is it taking place? And why is something taking place? Again, these question words become more particular as you identify their uses within each paragraph. And then we use those to determine the main idea of each. So, take out your different colored or your second colored highlighters. And I'm skimming the passage and asking myself as I go along, who is this about? Melinda Alice. Highlight Melinda Alice. What about Melinda Alice? She was clever, even witty. She was referred to as Melinda Malice. And again, she was clever and cruel. So this is repeated here, which indicates to me that it's important if we have two qualities or two components that are repeated. So again, we highlighted Melinda Alice. She was clever, even witty. Melinda Malice was clever and cruel. The next step, step 8, And notice, I didn't do something, I need to go back. So I did the who, I did the what, now I'm gonna look for the when and where. Can y'all identify a when or a where? Raise your hand if so. All right, Mark. That's, again, that's characterization, that's just her considering something. So again, is there anything with regard to setting addressed here? Anybody? No. Troy?
Birthdays.
No. So, somebody brought it up last hour. A lot of times, those question words will not be addressed in the paragraphs, and that's okay. All right, so I'm going to take my information that I highlighted, and I'm going to do step 8, which is in your own words, write the main idea of each paragraph or stanza to the right of each. So I'm going to reflect back on what I have highlighted. Melinda Alice was clever, witty. Melinda Malice was clever, cruel. So simply, I'm going to put, and you will write the same, Melinda Alice, comma, a clever girl, comma, was sometimes called Melinda Malice because she could be mean. So again, in my own words, I took the info I highlighted and wrote out a sentence demonstrating or identifying the main idea of this paragraph. Again, Melinda Alice, a clever girl, was sometimes called Melinda Malice because she could be mean. Questions on the steps of annotating so far? Let's look at the last step, as we have 9 steps, and the last step states, above the title, write and complete the following. The main idea of the passage is about, or is, blank. Can we do this yet?
No.
Why not?
Annotated.
We haven't completely annotated the entire passage. Okay, so at this time, you guys are going to get into your groups. Remember, 1 space 2s, 2s, 3s, 3s, 4s, 4s, 1s. If you're a group of 3, 1, 2 space each other, 3s meet in the middle, facing and touching the desk